We're going to go ahead and get started. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming. Appreciate your interest in county government and where you live. That's an important part of it. And so many times we get lackadaisical and we don't know what our elected officials are doing, or maybe we question what they're doing. And the only way to know is to get involved or to simply show up. And so we appreciate that. We don't get a large audience very often. And so I just want to say that Rick really likes a large audience, and so everyone's here for Rick. Now we appreciate y'all coming, and so we always start our meetings with the invocation, and so we're going to continue to do that today as well, and then we'll get started. Lord, thanks for the day and the opportunity that you give us together. Lord, we just pray that you would be with us as we go through the meeting, that you would guide and direct every step that we move, and everything that we would do would bring honor and glory to you. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Approve the minutes of the meeting, July 9th, 2026.
Second. Motion. I can't hear.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Approve the closed session meetings from July 9th.
Motion. Second.
Any discussion on that?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And first on the agenda is Michael Nibert. I do want to give just a little rundown, Michael, if you don't mind, to kind of update everyone where we're at, if that's okay with you. Couple things. If you're not on the agenda, there's 3 speakers on the agenda today that we normally allow 15, 20, 30 minutes is pushing it for a presentation. Unless obviously more is needed. We don't want to limit anyone's ability to speak. However, if you're not on the agenda and want to speak, at the end of the meeting or at the bottom of the agenda is a public comments section. And I would encourage you to stick around if you have something that you would like to share with the county commission for that section of commenting. And so, but just to give you guys just a little bit of rundown of where the county commission is in the process of a moratorium on the industry that we're all here to talk about. It's actually just a little bit larger than AI data centers. It's not limited to just that. There's some solar stuff in there and some battery storage, and the point of the closed session meetings that we just approved was with our legal counsel last week. Our legal counsel is the same legal counsel that represents multiple other counties in the state of Missouri, well versed in what he's doing when it comes to moratoriums and ordinances and regulations specifically for Class 3 counties. And so, unbeknownst to Facebook, some of the things that I've supposedly said or said, let me clarify for you that what I did say was that the legislator and some of the messages that seem to be coming out of the governor's office seems to favor some of this industry. It is already difficult for Class 3 counties to regulate industry as it is. And so the point in saying that was to let you guys know that we are doing all that we can, but we must fall within the scope of our authority. And so none of us have decided that we look good in orange or black and white stripes, and so we are going to do the best that we can for the constituents and the people of Hickory County. Each and every one of us have lived here our whole lives and grown up here. And I don't think that any of us are looking to have a data center in our backyard. And so, just I would say, just like that. To give you just a little bit of historical data, we reached out to our legal counsel, I believe it was May 21st, you can correct me if I was wrong, was our first email to Travis. He was kind of in the heat of the Webster County thing, and so it took a little bit for him to get back to us, but we have been working toward a moratorium. Now please keep in mind a moratorium is a temporary fix to a long-term problem, and we know that. Okay, we're not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. We're not trying to kick the can down the road. However, legal counsel in the state of Missouri for counties is extremely busy right now. And so we are trying to do what we can to protect the citizens of Hickory County as quickly as possible, while letting our legal counsels work together to draw up an ordinance that will allow us to operate within our scope of authority, but yet protect everyone in Hickory County the best that we can. And so I would just want you guys to know kind of where we're at in that process. I actually talked to him yesterday. He thought our moratorium would be done within the next week or so. And so he didn't give me an exact date. And so our hope, obviously, if it was done before next Thursday, we would put that on the agenda. However, keep in mind, to be on the agenda, we would have to get that information 24 hours before that meeting to be able to post it. And so whenever we get that, we will post it on our website. We're actually working on the county clerk has a Facebook page and the commission has one. We're just not quite figured out how to use yet. We're having some technical difficulties with the commission page, but we're hoping to get that up and running and that we can share this information with you guys. And obviously, as we know, Facebook rapidly shares those, and so everyone can get that. And so that is our intent at this point in time, just to give you all a little history of the process that we are currently in. So with that being said, Michael, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Quick question, please. To speak in the citizens' comments section, do we have to be registered on the agenda for that?
No, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm going to turn the podium around because I think it's most important you hear what I have to say, and hopefully they can hear me behind me. Many of you know me. My name is Michael Nibert. I'm in healthcare, and I'm a resident of this county, registered voter of Hickory County, and I prepared an elevator speech here because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything when I'm speaking to you. I'm here today to voice my request that the commission inform all residents of the county concerning any outside inquiries of data centers here in Hickory County. It's my understanding that the county law firm, as Robert said, is crafting a moratorium allowing a prolonged period of time to study the impact of resources required of our county if data centers are constructed. While most of the approximate 9,044 residents of this county value economic growth, we must study the impact of the land that will require this infrastructure to stay within the regulatory requirements of the DNR that affects our aquifers, as well as the impact of our waterways and reservoirs through the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Other counties in Missouri have established moratoriums, which I trust the county law firm is using them as benchmarks for establishing a Hickory County moratorium. We have concerned citizens in attendance today, as well as two other scheduled speakers. We are cognizant of time restraints, and our sole objective is to start the process of proactive exploration of this potential impact of our county in a professional journey of both parties from the citizens you represent. We do have one of our District 28 Senator candidates in the back. He is in attendance today to support this endeavor, as this is one of his platforms to represent you, the citizens of Hickory County, and it's a 9-county district if he is elected on August the 4th. We want to show respect on this process to the commissioners and ask that you vote yes to explore and implement a time-implemented moratorium to study the impacts of our resources and keep the citizens of our great county informed of the real-time details of the commissioner's findings of this pause created by the moratorium. I will conclude by kindly asking that the citizens stop the spread of misinformation in the world of social media and be civil to the people that represent us. The commissioners will need to develop a platform to inform the citizens of Hickory County, and he just alluded to that process. I will now relinquish the floor to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Who's first? Next will be Miss Sephora Kretz.
turn this back around to you guys because I'm here today to mostly speak with you. Good morning. My name is Sephora Kretz. First, I want to thank the Hickory County Commissioners for listening to our concerns, working with us on these issues, and helping clear up misinformation. I believe we are all here for the same reason, and we are on the same side. We all want to protect Hickory County. None of us want to see large tech companies come in and abuse our natural resources, pollute our air, drain our aquifers, or turn our lakes into disposal sites for wastewater. From what I understand, the commissioners and their legal team are working on a 6-month moratorium that will pause any data center proposals while studies are completed and new ordinances are written. As far as I know, there are no current proposals for data centers in Hickory County. That means that we have an opportunity to be proactive instead of reactive. That's why we're here today, to support action before there is a problem. Many of us would prefer to see a 12-month moratorium, or ultimately many residents would like to see a ban on these types of developments. But we also understand that based on what you shared with us, that your legal authority has its limits. So we recognize that a 6-month moratorium is an important first step. But we also ask that every legal tool available be used to protect Hickory County from the kinds of impacts that we have seen in other counties across Missouri and around the world. As farmers, ranchers, and business owners, we've spent generations building our livelihoods. We've worked too hard to preserve our land, our water, and our way of life, to see it sacrificed for companies whose priorities do not always align with the long-term interests of our county. We've seen big technology companies make promises that often don't match reality. They promise economic growth and jobs, but once construction is complete, many facilities employ only a small permanent workforce, sometimes as few as 15 to 17 people, and those jobs aren't always filled by local residents. We've also seen requests for generous tax incentives, including tax abatements that can eliminate property tax for up to 10 years or reduce them by as much as 75% or even longer. Those revenues our county would depend on to support essential services. We're also aware that off-grid data centers are becoming increasingly common in Missouri. These facilities often look for access to major highways for trucking, diesel, or hydrogenated fuels, along with reliable fiber optic infrastructure. Hickory County has both. We have 2 major highways that support heavy trucking and make our county an attractive location. That makes it even more important that we prepare now before proposals arrive. We are not against responsible economic development. We support growth that respects our community, protects our natural resources, and benefits the people who already call Hickory County home. As you move forward creating new ordinances, we ask for full transparency. We ask that you consider language prohibiting tax incentives for large data center developments, including lengthy tax abatements that shift the burden onto local taxpayers. Water is another serious concern. Many centers use millions of gallons of water each day for cooling. Currently, up to 75% of data centers use evaporative cooling systems in some form. These facilities consume enormous amounts of electricity. A single large AI data center consumes as much power as a small city. If our electrical grid must be expanded to meet those demands, ordinary families and small businesses may eventually bear some of these costs through higher utility rates. There are also questions about the decibel of noise which cooling systems emit, with residents' testimonies reporting up to 97 decibels at 24 hours a day. Just 85 decibels for a long period of time can cause permanent hearing damage and loss. We also have concerns about equipment increases on roads during construction, as well as environmental impacts and the strain on our local infrastructure. Our local communities should not have to give up their character without carefully weighing the long-term consequences. Finally, we'd appreciate another public meeting as this process moves forward, so residents can stay informed, ask questions, and continue working with the commission. Thank you for your time, for listening to your residents, and for your commitment to protecting Hickory County.
Good job, Sephora. I appreciate the presentation. I'll comment just quickly. The Hickory County at one time did have an enhanced enterprise zoning board, which would be the board that recommends tax abatements for industries like that, or mainly anything but retail. That board is since really not active, but no matter what, all of those would have to come through the county commission. And so there was no, I don't know if this is going to be the right term, but I'm going to say it, bureaucratic board at the local government that has authority to do something without the approval of the county commission. So just so you know, anything that is done on that aspect would be done through this board. So, and you don't have to know us very well to know that we're pretty black and white up here on this side, that we don't really beat around the bush very much. We're not known for that. Maybe we're not very good politicians, but we'll just kind of tell you like it is. And so, Stephanie?
Hi, Stephanie Robinson.
Hi, Stephanie.
Stephanie, like I'm at an AA meeting. Good morning, commissioners. I just want to thank you for your public service and for giving me the opportunity to speak here today. And first of all, for you, Mr. Sawyer, after speaking with you yesterday, I'd like to again apologize for unintentionally misrepresenting your words. And secondly, I'd like to congratulate you on your early win. And right now, my primary residence.
It's not over yet.
Well, I think it's too late for anybody to get on the ballot with you, so I think it's over. But
Excuse me, can you speak up further? You're facing that way.
sure, maybe I can turn kind of sideways, because I really came to talk to them, but.
Yeah, this is the meeting. I want to hear what you're saying.
Hey, Stephanie, if you want to
Thank you.
stand over there in that corner. Got it? Or you could just walk around and push it as you talk.
My husband is here somewhere. I got a seat for him and I don't know where he went. But we live in Independence, Missouri, and that's our permanent residence. My husband just retired last year, and I've got a few more years to go before I can retire. And we have been coming down here to Palm de Terre Lake and camping for decades over on the Pittsburgh side, the state park. We started out in Nemo, but so we've been coming down here for a long time. And 4 years ago, we were able to find like a place with a perfect location with more acres than we thought we wanted, a couple ponds, and that's where we want to retire to. And so while this is not my home yet, I feel home here. I've been here a lot, and I have a home here now, so someday it'll be my permanent home. But when I originally planned this meeting into talk, and I didn't mean for it to really be this like today, but everything kind of took a turn. I saw people, counties around, and city councils all introducing moratoriums. And I know from everything I've checked, we didn't have any proposals. I really had to look into like the third class county, zoning everything agricultural is an option, but I know you've never considered it. I just wanted to introduce and talk to them about maybe getting one going. And I researched them, and ironically enough, of all in the entire country and everything, I found Webster counties, and I thought it was phenomenal. And I put a few things in there from Jackson County, and that's what I submitted to them. And it turns out,
Please.
really? Talk pretty loud, I thought.
Give her a microphone.
Okay.
I don't have a microphone. I mean, I do, but I don't know how to use it, the judges, so.
Okay, so I wanted to get one going and speak to these guys about maybe getting one going for our county so we could have something in place in case we were to get any proposals, inquiries, anything, because what happened to us up there, right in front of our faces, under our noses, they pieced all the pieces together, and next thing we know, the people that live in the neighborhood, all the construction crews rolling in, tearing up all this beautiful green space with a right by the river, there's a hiking trail, and it's just, we've got bald eagles right there, and they just demolished it, and that's when we found out we were getting a 10 building, 400 acre, hyperscale data factory. And that's what I was gonna get to, like, you would say data center, and people just, people don't really know what data center means. There's like the clouds and, like the training ones, I mean, there's like 4 different kinds, and so they're all classified different, and they all do different things, depending on like how big they are, how much capacity they need to run, what the square footage is, how many buildings. They're classified in a certain way. And so, like for example, the one that's going to be in Webster County, it's on like 5 acres. It's got a few small modular buildings and 7,000 total square feet, and their power use is going to be pretty low, and they're able to hook up to existing infrastructure and bring on whatever else they're going to need. And so if we did get a data center, that's the one that I would pray for, because the one that we are getting where I live is unbelievable. And that's nothing compared to I think they got it down to 20,000 maybe acres now that, is it Kevin O'Leary in Utah? It's going to be huge. It's going to be, ours is 2.5 million square feet, and it will be 1.2 gigawatts of power. Well, his in Utah, it's an AI campus, and it'll be on 20,000 acres, 9 gigawatts, so that's almost 9 times what we're gonna produce at ours. And he's gonna have solar and the battery energy storage system, if you know anything about that, and have a whole bunch of buildings totaling like 40,000 square feet. And they have no water there. They're in the desert in Utah. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but. So there's different kinds of data centers, so you can't just say data center and there's a lot of things to ask about. So we don't know what kind we would get if we're gonna get one. So if we did, I'd prefer one of those little ones. But now, with our governor, I think he's trying to be happy to turn Missouri into Virginia. That's the highest concentration. They have a data center alley of them in the entire country. And I feel like Governor Kehoe would be happy to do that to us. And I welcome him to put one next to his 700-acre cattle ranch. So, it's progress that, we build these data centers, and, if that's such progress, I think he should just, he should build one by himself and hey, this is cool, everybody would do this. But we have governors in Texas, Illinois, New York, they're all putting bans on data centers or making it really strict on where they can build. And like up in Kansas City proper, they have rules on where they can build them and stuff. So there's different rules, counties, cities, so that makes a difference. And I understand here now that their hands are kind of tied, that there's only so much that they can do, but I'm expecting that they'll do everything that they can do. And I was really thrilled to find out that their county attorneys are the same ones that worked on Webster County, because like I said, I think that was the absolute best moratorium I've read, and I've read a lot. So let's see, because they realize, the dangers that they cause, and okay, here's a few examples why I feel a moratorium is necessary. And granted, these are in the minority. However, it's the risk versus reward or the informed consent that you want to know about. And so earlier this year, Amazon paid a $20.5 million settlement to the residents of Morrow and, forgive me, I might not say this right, Umatilla counties in Northeast Oregon. And they filed a class action lawsuit because they claimed that the wastewater coming from Amazon's large-scale server cooling operations contaminated and polluted their wells. And they were left unsafe to drink. And so the money that they won was being used to drill new wells or a deeper well. And in the meantime, they had to build public infrastructure like a city well and provide fresh water to everybody while they were like fixing all their stuff. So that can happen. Let's see, earlier this month in rural Texas, some of you might relate to this, but local cattle ranchers and local rural landowners packed legislative hearings at the Texas state capitol to testify that their private water wells were running completely dry. Data centers are using local water basins, and they have caused the water tables to plummet rapidly. State leaders threatened to ban AI data centers near rural neighborhoods unless they supply 100% of their own off-grid resources. And Governor Abbott did that. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to grab my water. I'm not used to talking so much. And I'm trying to keep it short. This is the short version, honestly. Well, I had a whole big thing, and then we kind of changed directions, and so. Okay. In May of this year, in Fayette County, Georgia, a large-scale data center development, residents discovered the data center was drawing up millions of gallons of public groundwater without any authorization. And the neighbors lost all their water pressure. Their well pumps were pumping up muddy sediment and like big, spitting water. And it turns out that the facility didn't leak any chemicals or do anything like that, but when the facility was being constructed, the massive construction equipment, it caused the earth to move, and the vibrations from the heavy infrastructure physically destabilized the local soil layers, and the structure around the wells dumped a ton of sediment into the water table, and so it ruined a lot of the residents' plumbing, and they're still trying to see if they can get that paid for. So it's hard to take on these billion, trillion-dollar companies when something like this happens. And let's see, earlier this month, a massive, granted this is in the city, but I mean, this can happen no matter where you are, but earlier this month, a massive contamination event happened in Cheyenne, Wyoming, at a data construction site during a standard flush and fill operations while preparing the closed loop cooling lines. There's that term again, closed loop. Contractors flushed industrial wastewater into a public sanitary sewer and created a rare, highly resistant bacteria that was found in the soil and the water. And they said it will take months to clean up. And then the best for last. There's a bunch more, but these are some of my favorites. I don't know if any of you heard about Lake Tahoe, but it's one of my husband's and I's favorite vacation destinations. We've been there all 4 seasons, been there multiple times. I love it. It's gorgeous. And their power company, I can't remember what it's called, they're out of Nevada, because the lake divides the California-Nevada line. And so the power company is in Nevada, and there's a Lake Tahoe, Nevada, Lake Tahoe, California, just like Kansas City. And they informed the residents earlier this year that they have until I think it's June maybe of next year to find a new power source, because they've decided that and a private company can do this. Where I am, we have a public, we're a city-owned electric company, so we can't do this, but like Southwest Electric probably could. They've decided that they want to provide their capacity to the data center instead of the residents of California. So now they're gonna have to figure out where to get power from or live like the Amish, I don't know. But so that can happen. And then probably another thing I wanna bring up is the infrastructure. Do you remember if you listened to any of the, or read anything about what Governor Kehoe said? He said that electricity rates are going up in Missouri, whether we get the data centers or not. And they've already gone up, last year they went up with Ameren. They are building across the northern part of, east and west across the northern part of Missouri, like 200 and some lines and poles. The poles are 130 feet metal poles, and they're running 200 miles of it. And in the southern part of Missouri, it's Liberty Utilities, and their bills are about to go up 30%. But yes, but, here's the nice part about it, they sugarcoat it, because they're gonna do it over a 3-year increment compounded. So it's not gonna hit you so hard all at once, but just know if you have Liberty Utilities, bills going up. And so guess what? It's only a matter of time before they do the north and south grid in 65, and you know where they're coming. And so Hickory County, from what I read, right about where I am, over there in the 65-54 intersection, there is a good spot that someday when they get better infrastructure will be targeted by a data center, and then somewhere by like Wheatland and Waplo are the two best spots. So let's see. Lessons learned from communities with data centers, and these are taken from public meetings, local news reports, and residential testimony from communities in the US and in Europe. The most consistent complaints: consistent noise, continuous low frequency hum from cooling equipment 24/7, transformer noise from substations with significantly louder bursts when the cooling systems ramp up, very noticeable at night or outdoors where rural areas are otherwise very quiet. It can be heard for miles. They have reported difficulty sleeping, inability to enjoy outdoors, decks, patios, backyards, needing to keep the windows closed, reducing their quality of life, frequent migraines, difficulty concentrating, vertigo, and that's really a thing, those low frequencies, actually they make a lot of people really nauseous and vertigo and sick. Anxiety, blood pressure spikes, and that's just due to the constant acoustics. And that's the other thing, they're not all data centers. Some of them are cryptocurrency mining facilities, some are cobalt mining facilities, and some are just straight up military. Like, military bases, I don't know what you'd say. There's one in Oklahoma that's got 5-foot thick concrete walls, and it's an NSA. So they're different things too, but there's like, I think it's the cryptocurrency one. They have that real loud decibel, like high pitch that you can hear really good. It's hard to hear the low audibles, which is why it sounds like the lawyer's pretty versed with that as far as writing an ordinance that will cover both the upper and the lower without affecting farmers' noises. And there's like certain frequencies you can target where those noises come from. So the only thing I'd like to see too is that could maybe be targeted that it can't be 24 hours besides the decibels. I mean, because nobody else is making noise 24 hours.
Not to mention the 6G that you're rolling out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we're not gonna go there with it today, but, we know, right? Okay, visually, the construction disruption can take months to years of heavy equipment, traffic, dust on the roads, cars, homes, 24/7 construction, because by us, they're supposed to do it dusk until dawn. They're starting at 4 in the morning, they're working till 2 in the morning right in a neighborhood where these people have to go to work, and, it's awful. And so they can do construction 24/7. This is one thing I'm really worried about, damage to the county highways. Because they bring all this big heavy equipment in and just tear up the roads. And especially here, unless you would have some kind of contract with a company, maybe that's trying to get an incentive, there's no way to really stop it, and there's nothing that we can do about them tearing up our roads. And I know over there on F&P where I am, those roads couldn't take that. There's no way. They couldn't take a bunch of heavy construction for a year. No way. And the traffic will block school buses and emergency vehicles. And then for visually, like I said, it's large industrial buildings, tall security fences, bright security lights at night that can be seen for miles, utility infrastructure, substations, transformers, Loss of rural scenic views, loss of character, and people move to or remain in rural areas for the peace and quiet, the beauty of nature, and to get away from the industrial cities. I'm not gonna go into the water usage because there's so many different kinds of cooling systems. There's like the hybrid, the evaporative, there's a whole lot. So they all use a lot of water, don't get me wrong. But my biggest concern with that is sucking my well dry, and then trying to fight this big company to get a new well. I don't have 30, 40 grand for a new well, and
time.
Yeah.
Time long there.
I don't know how long it took these people to get the money from Amazon either, but it was a class action suit, but I'm surprised that they won that. So they got all this new transmissions and substations, and then they're seeing how rapid growth affects the local grid. And the rates are going up, and it's not just because supply and demand, like the natural gas needed for the turbines and stuff. It's because we're all paying for this new infrastructure. I mean, we've all heard them on the news for years and years. Oh, our electrical grid is failing, we need to upgrade our grid. They've been saying this for years. And guess what? It's time, and we're sharing in the cost, but the problem is to know how much are they sharing in the cost?
Yes.
How much are they sharing in it? Because if you look at what kind of incentives they get, and Hickory County is really unique in the fact that I haven't figured out why yet, because there had to be a reason. But in 2004, they created where is it on my notes? Well, it's called a rural empowerment zone. And did I not bring it? Huh, I had to switch my thing all up. I really just didn't.
What you're talking about was passed by Representative, if I remember right, Larry Wilson. It was to encourage growth in Hickory County.
Yes. Okay. Here it is. Yes, and it was the only county that had this in all of Hickory County, and they specified it to the population and to the income level of Hickory County. And it was the only one in the whole state that was designated as this rural empowerment zone. Well, now they have opened up the parameters so that the income and the population isn't so strict, and so there's other zones of counties that are now able to get this, but we were the only one, and it was in 2004, but in 2009 they kind of opened it up a little bit more. So I'm not sure why, who benefited in 2004 from this, but I'm going to find out.
We had a very good representative back then that did a good job for the people of Hickory County.
Did we get some good business out of that?
I'm sure we done something.
I'm going to find out.
Explain the tax break.
Okay, yep, that's it, I'm getting there. I'm looking for that exact page, but I pretty much know it in my head because I've like done it enough times. It's probably in my bag. Well, okay, so there's the rural empowerment zone, and that's where if they create at least 10 jobs, they can get income tax free, corporation income tax free for 10 years. And then they can get a federal tax break for a rural opportunity zone. And what that does, and you haven't submitted for that, have you? That you wanted to be part of that?
Submitted to be part of what?
The rural.
2004, I just graduated.
No. This is.
I'm not trying to age anybody here, but
Your
I'll
age
be honest with
is.
you, 2004.
Okay, 94, so.
Not considered much about politics.
Okay. No. This is it's right now. It's rural. We have the rural empowerment zone. The federal one is the rural opportunity zone. And there's qualifications for that, but if you don't qualify, then there's like a fund that you could put into. But what it is all the out of state, doesn't matter, all the billionaires, millionaires, they can liquidate all their stuff from anywhere. And then if they invest 90% of it into one of these rural opportunity zones, and keep it there for a minimum of 5 years. And in the rural, they only have to do 50% improvement on anything that they buy or get. Well, they buy the land, they build the building, and then they contract it to somebody else. And if they do that for 5 years, they can get 0 taxes on their capital gains. And then, if they do it themselves, or if they don't stay the 5 years, they can get 30% off their capital gains. But either way, it's a big, so they get the state tax break here, they get the state income tax, they get the federal capital gains reduction. And then right now, there's a program for data centers where they get all their sales tax free on all their, so that's all the money Missouri's not getting to pass down to us counties and the cities, and they're worried about fixing this budget and switching from income taxes, but they're giving everything tax free, all the building materials, the servers, the generators, the CPUs, the GPUs, everything that they have to buy for this place to get it up and running, the concrete, everything, sales tax free. And as far as I know, because this was up at ours, that's for the life of the program. Every time they need to buy new stuff to upgrade it, I believe it's tax free. So basically tax free on everything they buy for the business. And then the last and final tax opportunity, the fourth one they could have in our county, is if our commissioners were to give them a personal property tax and real estate property tax county tax abatement.
You said tax 4 times there, I don't even understand what you
That's
said.
four taxes. They can get 4 tax breaks in our county if you guys were to give them one too. So I don't know what you guys think about that, but I'm not sure that billionaires should be getting 4 tax breaks.
Right.
Because what happens when they don't pay property taxes, and we've got to increase, work on the roads because they've torn them up, money for schools, maybe we have to get a new fire, because they might have the best system, we gotta get new fire things, because those things will burn for 9 days, there's no way to put them out, those batteries. So we're having to spend all of our money for these resources. They're not paying anything in, so guess what? They gotta raise our property taxes because they're not paying any. And so that's 4 different tax breaks they can get if they come here. So that's very incentivizing. If in the next few years, if they can get the infrastructure, if the land becomes available, there's no zoning, so anybody can buy it, they can do whatever they want with it. So as long as they can figure out how to get the power and drill a well, then they can come here and do whatever they want. That's why whatever we can get in place to try and deter them, stop them, whatever. One of my things was, can we put like a $10 million fine on breaking a noise ordinance? Do you get to set the fine levels at the county? You know what I mean? Is that like a...
I don't have a Juris Doctorate degree, Stephanie, but I'm saying somebody that does that for us.
Well, we like the fines to be super
We're gonna
high.
let him do that.
Yeah, we want big, high fines. But, I don't know, that's, I guess, okay, like 70% of Hickory County land is livestock heavy agricultural footprints. And I'm not gonna give you all the breakdown of all of it, but Hickory County and that industry provides 700 local jobs. And so the money that comes in stays in Hickory County. So we have a constant revenue from agricultural industry, right? And from the local supply chain, you all put $67 million a year is the output for Hickory County for that industry. Now a data center, they're putting out 250 to 1 billion a year, but it's not coming here. They're not paying taxes. They're not contributing to the local communities. Where's all the money going? They're not paying for they might pay for the building materials, but everything is free for them, and I don't understand it, and they're just take. So I just don't feel like we want our cash cow per se to dry up and have to work harder and raise our taxes so that we can give these billionaires breaks. This is the hill I'm gonna die on. It really is.
Something we can get on a Hickory County ballot and vote upon it?
Planning and zoning, you can.
Pardon me?
Planning and zoning is the broadest way to restrict growth or property rights or building regulations for any county in the state of Missouri. Is a planning and zoning board.
And government is instituted by the people by their consent, and there's your authority.
Well, yes, but you have to remember that there's a whole lot of people in Jefferson City that have more authority, and they regulate and pass statute that tells us what we can and can't do. And the guys that set up here are the ones who say, you must follow these state legislator statutes, and if you don't, then you're breaking the law. And so, while yes, I agree with your intent on that, I will tell you as an elected representative that I will not break the statute and the laws of the state of Missouri, because I'm the one that ultimately holds the responsibility of that. Because when I break the law to do what's best for Hickory County and everyone cheers me on, they don't sit in the 10 by 10 room with me at the end of the day. And I'm gonna guess that when I'm the one saying, but I did what you asked me to do, then I'm the one that's gonna be out the legal fees. I'm gonna be the one in the new uniform, not anybody else. And so I will reassure all of you of this. We don't have the authority to raise taxes. That's the Hancock Amendment. That is done by the people. So we won't be invoking property rights for the benefits of billion-dollar companies. And so I please don't want that to be insinuated or assumed that we have that authority or power as well. And so, but I do just want to say that I think a really good idea would be for maybe you to host a informational meeting about data centers. And so,
no, I can go forever and ever. That's
well, I mean, I'm just saying that's kind of where we've become at this point in this commission meeting is very informational, and I do want to share all that information. But as the governing body of the county, we are doing all that we can, and we'll continue to do that within the scope of our authority, as I've mentioned, to limit the ability to come in here and build, some massive data center or campus or whatever it is. We represent you guys as constituents. I want you guys to know that we know that, we understand that concept, that we live in a democratic republic where you elect us to do what's in the best interest of you all. And so we are doing that to the best of our ability, I reassure you. And so Sephora and I have had multiple conversations about this. And the legislature, and I think I told Stephanie this last night, listen, if you want to make an impact at the local level, you start here, but you continue to climb to the state level in Jeff City, because those guys have much more authority over what we do and don't do than what you think. And so, the encouragement that I would give each and every one of you, and I've said this for a long time, we eat dinner with you, we go to church with you, we go to the senior center with you, we live with you. So give us a little bit more authority to help you at a local level. And so I would encourage you to encourage the state to say, hey, let some of our guys have some of this authority. Even if it's directed at one certain subject, or, we dealt with this with confined animal feeding operations a few years ago. All of these things that go on at a local level, some of these we may want the state to take control of. They've got DNR, they've got other regulatory authorities and bureaucrats and bureaucracies that can control, and people to do that, where maybe we don't have the expertise. However, when it comes down to the people and their property, I don't think anyone knows you better than we do. And so, and if not, what I've learned is we'll get to know you pretty quick. And so, that's what I love about Hickory County. And so I want you all to know that we are working as hard as we can and doing all that we can as your local legislative body to protect your property rights at the greatest ability that we have. And so As Stephanie winds up, I just wanted to interject there and let you know. And then I am going to kind of break and bend a little bit of Robert's Rules of Orders here. We're going to move the public comment section.
I was gonna ask you.
Just to kind of, everyone's here and it's fresh on your mind. That way, if you have a question, maybe we can address that at this point, and you don't have to sit through the boring part of our meeting if you don't want to, or you are more than welcome to hang out with us as long as you foresee necessary. And so, Stephanie,
I just have
finish up
a
there.
few questions for you. Would you have more local authority if you were to zone the county?
Well, we wouldn't, but a planning and zoning board would.
Okay, I read a little bit about that, and you don't get the final say on that? Because like in the city, we have a
not
planning
from what I
commission, we have a
understand.
utility board, but kind of. the
I'll
council's final
just
say.
be really honest with you, and I'll say this publicly, I am not a fan of planning and zoning.
I understand that because it starts
Let me tell you
out
why.
one way and it gets.
Let me tell you why.
Set up zoning for industrial site stuff.
Well,
You can specify to that.
I mean, I know there's, I understand the intent, but just remember that good things that are done with good intentions,
The government will ruin.
sometimes get out of hand. And so the good thing about planning and zoning is we can't form it. The only thing we can do is put it on the ballot. And
Well,
so it would be voted on by the people.
could you unzone it like down the road?
I mean, I think Stone County is going through this particular issue as well.
So is this on the ballot?
No.
Do what?
Is
No.
this issue-
Planning and zoning, is it on the ballot?
Yes.
No. Are you done, Miss Stephanie?
Yeah, I think I have
Let
one
me
more
let her
question.
wrap up before we
Yeah,
get
no,
public
I just
comment.
have one more question for you, and I don't even remember what it is, so. I appreciate you letting me
Thank you,
talk
Ms.
today, and, the biggest thing I wanted to say, because the whole thing kind of flipped, so that's why I'm not quite as prepared, because I thought I was gonna have to talk you into this. But, my biggest thing, I wanted everybody to know, like, some of the impacts that data centers
Sure,
have.
sure.
That, because a lot of people don't realize that.
Right.
And also, across the country, especially in this state, there's lots of city council and county commissioners, and for some reason that are not representing their constituents, they're siding with the government and the big business. And we, in Independence, we did not re-elect 2 of ours, and 1 is up for recall right now. In Festus, they tried to recall I think they voted out 4 of them. They tried to recall the last 3, and their city charter or whatever is set up so that the city council gets to decide whether or not the city council gets recalled. So those 3 are safe, but they were gonna wipe them all out. So not that I'm scaring you. That's why people are so concerned, because
Thank
their
you.
representatives have been going against
Sure,
it.
thank you, Ms. Stephanie.
We don't want that.
We're gonna try to do this in a very organized and way, so we can all hear each other. And so if we could just let one person ask a question or make a statement, whichever one it is, I can reassure you that I don't have a Juris Doctorate degree, and neither do the gentleman sitting next to me. So there may be a lot of questions we can't answer, but that's why we have a few guys that have those degrees, and that's who we lean on. So we may not be able to answer all your questions. We're not very good politicians. We're not going to pretend that we know the answers, but I can reassure you if we don't know, we'll do the best that we can to find that answer for you. So I'm going to start. Yeah, let's just start here to my left and go right.
Didn't Hampton just get work in a moratorium on a data center in their area, and it was successful?
So yes, I actually have a link. I think is Bradley in here? Yes, Bradley sent me that link. Keep in mind that Camden County is a Class 1 county, not a Class 3 county. So there's some different authorities and different things that they can do that we cannot do. And so one of the things that you need to understand and realize is there's different classifications of counties and different authorities that apply to those counties accordingly to what legislator has granted them. And so we have to work within the bounds of those authorities. And so we really do rely on our legal counsel for that. We have a couple different attorneys that we actually use. We don't have just one. But we tend to favor the one that favors us. We always pick the one that does what we want. So,
Well, my husband's an attorney, I do get it.
sure.
But I can say that Hickory County residents will be up in arms. They're not the same arms, they're in arms. But if anything like this passes, they're allowed to listen.
Well, I don't think that we are gonna pass anything other than a moratorium and continue to do what we can to limit their ability to come here and I talked to, so I'll just give you a little personal experience. I have a friend that is a union, I guess he would be a pipe fitter maybe, and he is in Iowa right now working on one of these facilities. He said, Robert, this building is absolutely massive. I think he said it was almost a mile long, this facility. And so, I don't know if you can fathom that, that's a long way. That's a long, that is,
One building?
Only one building?
yeah, one building.
That's a blessing.
And he showed me a picture of all these coolers, and they're doing the piping and stuff, and he said, I can reassure one thing, well, he said, I am making my living off of this facility and building these, I have a job to do, but I sure don't want one in my backyard.
Neither do 70% of Americans that were polled by Reuters and Gallup.
And so I was able to, get a little bit of insight from him on what he's experienced, and he's on his second or third one working on. Now these are kind of out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, he said, but either way, it doesn't matter where they're at. This is what we're trying to prohibit here. And so, but yes, we got our legal counsel looking into it. We're doing all that we can there. Go ahead.
My concern being with the amount of resistance that we're seeing specifically in Missouri, at some point, state legislature would pass something. Is there anything as a county that we can do that would supersede whatever the state might do at some point in the future, or are we bound by whatever that state law might do?
We can, I think what you'll see there is probably some counties that, probably push a little against the legislator and maybe the authority that they're trying to limit us. Ultimately, that will be decided by a guy that sits in one of these seats right here. Where that would be or what that is or when that time comes, I don't know. I do think you'll see that at some point. It will probably more than likely come from a Class 3 county like ourselves, who maybe push the bounds a little bit of what the legislator or the statute is giving us on our authority. We've had that conversation with our legal counsel. And so really at the end of the day, it's you want to push as hard as you can, but stay within the realm of not getting buried in legal fees either. Because, as we talked, and someone mentioned this earlier, you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. The county budget's about $4.2 million a year. So, 250 years of our revenue, we may be able to fight them. So we want to do what we can to deter them from coming. And in the meantime, protect what we have here in Hickory County. I've always said we live in a pretty good bubble here. I'm like within realm, we would like to keep it that way.
Yes.
Go ahead.
There's not been a whole lot of talk on DNR. I would like to know how involved they are and if they have a lot of say, and any studies or considerations of our natural, like our predators, our animals, our deer, livestock, birds. What's going on with them through all this? If it's going to affect us, it's obviously going to
Sure.
do something
Right.
to.
So that is that's a state bureaucracy that we don't deal with a whole lot. And so that they oversee a lot of the waterways. Obviously here they oversee our state parks. We deal with them on some of that stuff. If someone has an issue and they turn someone into DNR, they may communicate with us a little bit. But DNR is a state entity that we only deal with on a very limited basis.
So, Robert, I have a relationship.
I was actually going to say I know that Michael has dealt with them recently on a few different.
So I just called Heather Peters a couple of weeks ago about this question you just asked, and DNR has no official stance on this whatsoever. Okay, and so she gave me some resources to look at, but they will not take any official stance on.
They're gonna do what they
Okay,
say.
well,
They don't care about us.
The governor has given the DNR
DNR is not a good thing.
in order to work, the report is due by the end of November. November, but the DNR is to work with the Department of Conservation, Economic Development, all different agencies, and they're supposed to be studying all the effect, the good and bad and everything, and working with each other to come up with their report, the recommendations to give back to him on his executive order, and it's due by the 30th of November. So I don't know how you can track and see what they're doing or where they're at, but I know you can look for the report in November.
If you look at the history of the cattle processing plant, DNR and MDC did squat.
Well, they've
They
loosened
did
the
squat.
regulations so much.
And what I want to say, people, don't email your legislators. Call them. Go to the Capitol. We, the people.
Yes.
They don't care about us. They didn't do, the state did nothing over the cattle crap coming in on the tear. The federal government owns the lake and did squat. They did nothing to protect our lake. Call your legislator, bug the hell out of them. They are there for us. They're not here for the damn data centers.
Well, the problem is.
I would agree that you need to call them.
We had a group.
Let's go on here, back here. Yep, go ahead.
Sorry, it's not formally thought, but we've got bald eagles and they're protected by the federal act.
Yep.
From my knowledge, these data centers affect our shoreline almost instantaneously. That goes against, the federal act, so can we put, construction, noise, that all affects bald eagles?
No, they're relocated, they're relocated to cemeteries.
They're relocated, the ones that are independent.
The bald eagles?
Yes.
It's a fourth of a mile. My home that my family lives in, is right next door to the data center. The noise alone with equipment, the ground shifting, we can't live. I have to move my family out. It all boils down to, listen to this call carefully, because we're in a lawsuit that we can't win. Why do it? It's because we're doing it for everybody else, okay? The codes, the zoning, and all of that has to do with what it is. Right now, we live next to an agricultural. Because of COVID, that code didn't get changed. Nobody's acknowledged to do it. It's light industrial. They'll do everything heavy industrial stuff. It's costing the city $6.2 million.
Billion.
No, $1 billion. I'm sorry. The county of Jackson County, because you think you're okay, you're not an independent, also $6.2 billion. Where do you think that money's going to come from? My value of my home was $300,000. We just built a home. It's zero. A realtor won't list it. We can't sell it. And we said, now we're going to the city to see if they'll move us out of that house, if they will buy our home, because they were not honest with us. They did not have records updated. They can't have anything. So we're going on our own. It's going to cost me a fortune. But if you want to give to something like this, to really fight this, look on the Facebook page. It's called Guard Alliance. And put money onto that, because that's our attorney fees. And that's going just to that. And if we don't win or we don't use the money comes back to you. They track everybody's money that you gave, and we're going to give every dime back to you if we can't win the case. So, I'm sorry. This has been so emotional that when this comes up, I just watch for zoning. They can change things. They can change that in a minute. My house, where I live, and I don't know nothing about it. The city of Independence told us 3 months out. They knew 3 years ago what was going on. We found out 3 months before they did it. I would have had my house. I would never build there. I would have had my family out of there and sold the place.
Where is that at?
It's in the city of Independence on Bly Road, right there at 78 Highway and Little Blue Parkway, if anybody knows. If you know where the big power plant is.
I'm in your group, I know Lisa and.
So all of that is going on now. They're building extra onto the power plant. They say that this data center is paying for it. We are right on the Little Blue River, where our creek runs right into it. That stuff's gonna come right at us. We have no say. We have nothing. Because somebody said, because of progress, we have to take care of, this guy's property doesn't value anything, but my property might, because I can provide jobs, and I can do this, and I can do that. Why is that fair? This is exactly what's going on in city governments. Money talks. These tax abatements are ridiculous. And they say, oh yeah, this is great because the city is, this company is giving 200-some-odd thousand to the schools to take care of meals for a year. A school that's less than a mile from this place. Why would the city even consider it? It's a great school. And it's 5 miles out. You will see it, you will hear it, you will know what's there. Because that is there. She told you, the data is there, so why do we continue to do this? And another thing, why do we let a company from Finland come in and buy our U.S. property? This has got to stop too. 2 miles from an ammunition plant, and this is also a military plant. This is getting your data. It's not what you bought from Amazon.
It's a Russian company.
It's not what you bought from Amazon. It's your personal information. They want military information. This data center, that's what they're after, people. So look into what that data center is actually collecting. What data are they collecting? Like she said, everyone's different. Okay? So I'll get off my high horse, but this is so passionate to me. I can't.
Thank you.
There's a gentleman in the back with a beard that's had his hand up multiple times.
So, what else is in place besides the study? Studies can be bought. So,
I can't hear you.
what else is in place during the 6-month moratorium? What else is in place besides the study being done on the effects? Studies get bought. You see it in research. You see it with vaccines. What else is being done in that 6 months minus a study?
Well, our attorney is working on an ordinance and a regulatory ordinance that we can do here in Hickory County.
They're going to come out with quieter machines.
I can hear you.
They're going to come out with quieter machines. I mean, technology moves fast.
Sure.
So in 2 years, when they get below that decibel, what will be in place besides a ordinance?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on, there's a lot of moving parts. You know, you could sit here and what if all day. I don't know, obviously, what that is. That's why we're doing a 6-month moratorium, investigate what we have. You know, for example, in Webster County, those guys didn't see it coming. You know, it was popped up and being done before I think even they even knew. And so we're trying to be proactive on that. Obviously, as legislators change, authorities change, and legislation changes that allow us to maybe do more or less. And so, no matter what, the commission has to work within the scope of our authority. No matter how excited we are, or no matter how bad we don't want them here, we still have to work within our scope of authority. And so that is what we're going to do. Now, we may stretch that just a little bit and push as hard as we can to really deter anyone from coming. However, at the end of the day, ultimately, we're responsible for that. And so we want to do what's right by the citizen the best that we can, but we also need to run and remember that we have to work within the scope that we're given and the authority that we're given. And so what he said earlier about calling your legislators is probably the truest statement that you could make, because you can email and you can write a letter and you do all you want, but if you will call their phone, leave them a message, call them, or go see them, more importantly, at the state legislator, at the state office, and say, hey, this is a true concern of mine. Not just one person. Not just one person. But if multiple people will go, those are the people that affect our daily lives more so than you think. And so it is important to reach out to those individuals to be able to secure the future that you're talking about. Because as our authority and scope of authority is limited, some of the things you're talking about with technology advancing so quickly, that may continue to limit even our scope of authority.
I think a 3-year moratorium or a 12-month moratorium to me makes sense.
Well, number one, don't get hung up on the time frame of a moratorium. A moratorium is still a moratorium. And so whether it's 6 months and you renew it If it's 6 months and you do it in 6 months, that's 12 months. And so you remember that a moratorium is essentially, we don't have the authority to ban this industry, but we do have the authority, some gray area there that we think we have authority to place a moratorium, and so that we're doing that. The moratorium and the purpose of it is to work toward a permanent solution. And so for us to put a 3-year moratorium, I don't think that it should take us 3 years, and I don't know that that's a reasonable amount of time. We should work faster than that. And so our idea is that within 6 months, we should have some type of regulatory ordinance in place. If not, we'll renew the moratorium. They are renewable. And so our plan is, as we work forward to getting this done, we will continue to push this out on social media where you all can read, you can have input. If we need to have a large gathering, maybe we could do that in an evening setting at a school or something if it's necessary. Really, honestly, as long as you guys continue to give us input, in either a platform like this or by calling us or coming and seeing us, hey, we ought to be able to continue to work together to move forward without having to get together at 7 o'clock at night in a gymnasium. But if that's what it takes, that's what we will do. And so,
I think that's what everybody wants, is that to know where you sit. Are you on board with us, or are you on board with them?
well, I
Because
think
we're finding
that
more and more
I think
leaders
that
are on board with us.
I think that question's been obviously
Right,
answered.
but I think that's
over
why
and
we're
over.
all here. We want to know
So-
where you stand.
So,
If you're gonna
she
fight
said
for
that the
us,
company's
we're
out
not.
of Finland. Is there a
The
way?
Netherlands.
Well, what that, it's out of the United States.
Right.
Is there any way, I know Senator Holly has something about the Chinese land up by, the base and everything. Is there a way to?
Prohibit foreign
Yes,
ownership of
or-
land?
yes.
There is.
Okay.
The real estate contracts have that in there where you can not sell to them.
And then, so is
It's in
that,
the verbiage.
is that within shell companies? So obviously they can register an LLC anywhere.
Yeah, there you go.
So is there something to trace that back that we can put in place that four companies, shell companies ran in the United States can buy land?
Yes, but what they do is they make companies here in the United States.
Right.
and say
That's
that
right.
they
But that's what I'm saying, tracing.
I'll ask that question. I don't know the answer to that question.
No, that's fine, I'm just.
I'll ask that question.
Okay.
Or at least make it public.
He was gonna be here today, but he had a actually, he's in another county that he couldn't be here. Go ahead, Sherry.
Okay, I would like to let y'all know, what our representative for 128 has been working on for the last several days. He would have been here today, but he's coming back from Lexington. This was a post, I'm gonna read from a post that he made on Facebook. He had the privilege of representing the state of Missouri at the Council of State Governments South Conference. It was the Regional Energy Summit in Lexington, Kentucky. He was at that conference appointed the chairman of the South Energy and Environmental Committee. And he also was appointed a member to the executive committee. He will be working on energy reliability, workforce development, infrastructure, permitting, nuclear energy, data centers, pipelines, and growing demand being placed on our electrical grid. So if you're wanting to know how you can get help from our legislator, Christopher would be the perfect person to contact to help this county. I talked to him the 1st of June. We were at an event together. This was way before you went to this, just this past weekend. And he asked me my opinion on the data centers. And I said, I don't know. I said, I can't make up my mind. I know they're coming. I said, I've read articles where across the United States, by the year 2030, which is just 4 years from now, they're planning to build 3,000 of these across the country. And I told him, I said, I know that that's the plan, but I said, legislation is way behind. We are way behind regulating and getting regulations set up at a state level to protect our state, and so that these data centers that are going to come are built so that we are not harmed in any way. And he is working. He's trying to get himself, these were 15 states that met at this conference. 15 states, and he was representing Missouri.
Sherry, can I clarify for the group, that's Christopher Warwick.
Christopher Warwick.
So everybody knows.
Sorry, I didn't say his
That's
name,
okay.
I just said our
That's all right.
state representative, Christopher Warwick. And that is who you need to get a hold of, Robert. You need to work with him because he is on the forefront of what's going on and what can be done to help you. You need to contact him and tell him what you're seeing in Hickory County.
Well, he's seen it too.
Well, and so
Where does he stand on it, do you know?
you'll have to ask him. You'll have to ask him, but I know he's trying to do whatever he can to protect our state, our county.
Go ahead, Sam.
Robert, I want to thank you for having this meeting. You've conducted it very well. And like we talked about before, our state government needs to decentralize and give some power back to these counties. We just witnessed here today what a democracy is. At the federal level, we're a representative republic. At the state level, we're a representative republic, and that restricts the people. But here, we have citizens that are telling you what you need, what we need to do in these counties. And number one, the other thing, on your ordinance, as you pursue that, make sure you pursue an ordinance on landfills also, because landfills are coming to our rural counties also. Cities are going to be hauling their trash in and dumping it in the counties, so you need to get ahead of that also. And the other thing, Stephanie, thank you for your talk, but please don't put that data center at the governor's place on the river. I'm 3 miles down the river.
Are you sure you're not up the river?
I got an acre for you, a cattle farm, and I keep the cattle out of the river, and I don't want that data center polluting my river.
Nobody needs that.
So thank you for what you guys have presented here today. You're doing a good job. We need to get ahead of this. We need to decentralize Jeff City and get some of these decisions here to you in the county commission.
Yes.
This is where the government is the best.
Where it starts, right here.
Interact with the people.
Chuck, go ahead.
Sure. Chuck Lentz, one of the things I'd like to clarify is I've spoken to several city councils in the last 4 months. In fact, 4 months ago, I was mocked by one of our representatives for bringing this up. Part of the problem is Senate Bill 4 is already law. And in that law, there are 2 things that have been signed by the governor. Number 1, there's a kilowatt break for anybody that uses over 80 megawatts of power. Larry was at the meeting where I spoke about that, and I asked, how many houses do you think that is? That's 65 to 75,000 homes. So what do you think that was written into the law for? And our problem is they're not being transparent with what is already in the law. The second thing that's been written in that, and you saw it come out in the news yesterday, is now the utilities are allowed to raise the rates before the construction is completed. So that's why I put out videos and stuff on my website to go over this. Part of the problem is the cake has already been baked in many ways. So we can say, hey, we're trying to do things to stop it now. Every person that voted for Senate Bill 4, you need to look it up, and it's been signed, should be held accountable because those things are already in the law. These are not things that are on the table. So that's part of the issue is they have written things in that the counties will not be able to stop. And so as you get into that, you need to investigate that. Like I said, I've spoken for several months on this. Senate Bill 4, it was signed. It's law right now that allows those 2 things. I always go around and ask people, how many pages do you think that bill was? It's 133 pages with 50 amendments. So we have to get transparency. We need to go single issue voting on these issues and not convolute all of these laws where people cannot see what's going on. So I commend the council as well. Put your foot in the ground, folks, because we have major things coming. The state's out of money. Amendment 4 and Amendment 5 are a part of this. Because if Amendment 4 passes,
You will not be able to. And the reason I'm opposed to it is because it convolutes the fact that you have the people's voice that now has to go through congressional districts which they can manipulate and change. So you need to really examine that. I'm an absolute no on it. Also, real quick, and I'm sorry to take your time, but on Amendment 5, in the same way, if you go, and I was speaking to the sheriff just a little bit ago, part of the rollback promises to be on some of the things that the counties do. So what's going to happen is if you take the ability of the counties away to tax, now they lose even more power to do things in the counties. So one of the things Sam and I would agree on is that at every level, starting in your homes, every decision that can be made should be made at the lowest level of government, and that starts in your home. The only thing I take exception with is, as we met a couple of nights ago and spoke, is this idea that you can sell your property to anybody. That's a problem. And that's been said by several people, okay? When you drill down, and I've had this, I respect Senator Crawford, okay? But we've had this issue ourselves. When you say, let me give you an example of Missouri law. I buy a piece of property. I cannot dam up my creek and not allow my neighbor to have water for their cattle. When I take my land and I drill down for water, that is not my water. That is a shared resource. And so when you're selling land or you're selling water, because that's what you're doing when you're selling your land, we have to understand, you can't just let anybody come in and buy that land. And I'm the one person that's taken a stand on that and said, no, you cannot. And as I told this gentleman, and the other thing is you can't let just anybody lease the land, because that'll be the next thing. Is they maintain ownership, but somebody else leases it. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I just have one, I kind of wanted to put a stat.
I see outside.
Go ahead.
I wanted to put up a statistic of how many class 3 counties are in the state of Missouri. Of the 114, there are 89.
Is that a class 3?
Class 3. We have a majority, but you did say that we only have so much money in each county.
Do you know how many, I'm glad you pointed that out, because I'll just give you, so we have an association in the state of Missouri that the county commissioners are part of. And I can't tell you how many years that we have constantly
14. Been there 14 years.
Constantly went to the state legislature with issues that we have at the county level. And I don't mean just Hickory County. I'm talking about all of these counties that you're referring to. And I think the same resolutions that we present to them today were 98% of them are the same ones we've done for 14 years. So it is very difficult to.
Yeah. Does anyone know the Bugs Life Disney movie?
Yeah.
We are the ants.
Don't go toward the light.
My question to you is how do we get the counties to collectively fund anything? I don't understand hierarchy, and you're saying the state's out of money.
So you got to understand that really all we need is exactly what them two gentlemen back there are talking about, some local authority.
How do we give you the authority? How do
The
we
state
legislature. The authority to govern.
But they're out of money, so they're.
The people grant the authority to government. The government doesn't grant
Okay, well,
authority.
the ants better start speaking, and
So I feel like sometimes in government we've got that backwards, where the government somehow thinks they can give rights to
Well,
people.
the grasshoppers thought they were in control.
But we need to get the state legislature to allow this government body some control at the local level, so we can contain these issues. Yes, sir.
Do we feel there's a strategy by AI centered developers to go toward the poorer, smaller counties?
Oh,
Yes. We don't have the resources to fight them as well.
Yes. Well,
But
we don't have the
with that in
zoning.
mind, should we be coming together with the small counties to fight this, whether it means pulling resources together to get lobbyists, attorneys, whatever it takes?
And media.
Yeah.
And media to cover it.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. And I think Sephora and I had this conversation where we kind of sat back and said, hey, I don't know that we have the necessary infrastructure at this point for them to build. But one of the things that we're talking about are companies that have hundreds of billions of dollars. And so for them to build infrastructure is not a big deal. And so for them to come out here and buy, 1,000 acres and build their own power plant, probably not, that's a drop in a bucket for these guys. And so, we understand those concerns. And so that's why we're trying to be proactive and do all that we can. And yes, I think that there are strength in numbers. And I think that if we will work together, and one thing that I want to emphasize to everyone in this room is we are all on the same team. And so if we will work together, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care what political party you are. We are all here together to protect the things that we cherish. The things that God has granted us, the rights that we have.
Thank you.
So we want to work together.
Thank you, Robert.
Does anybody else have anything else? If not, I would like to wrap this up. Go ahead.
I got one more figure I forgot to add. And it's a big one too.
I do like this guy.
Joplin looks like they're gonna get a mega center.
I was reading something the other day that
Joplin is out of water. Joplin was notifying Stockton, we need more water. Stockton ain't gonna give them no more water. They're out of water. We got a crown jewel right here that I live a mile from. There goes our wells. Joplin, Springfield, with Springfield, they got, surprisingly, they hadn't got a lot of water. So they consume a lot.
Dictation on it, and it will also
So, where are they gonna go?
And it's
going to affect our
hours of recording.
It's not just Hickory County. In these data centers, they don't care about it. They don't care about our individual wells.
So, this is a David and Goliath moment.
It is.
Yes. It's a battle of good versus evil.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? Anything else before we
Stephanie,
move
I have a
on?
question for you. You keep bringing up zoning. What can be done with zoning?
I hear it, but I don't see it.
That was me.
Oh, there you are. So for us, planning and zoning would have to be an issue that the commission could put on the ballot to present to the people that if you want a planning and zoning board, you could vote yes for that board, and then you would have an election. Now, once again, I would have to go through our legal counsel to make sure I'm telling you, so please don't quote me 100% on this. But I believe the process is we would vote to put it on the ballot, then it would have to pass, and then you would have to vote on a board to seat that. I don't really know the process.
Would that be a whole county zone?
I've never, do what?
Would that be zoning the whole county?
The planning and zoning board from us would be a county planning and zoning board.
Farmers and raisers don't want zoning. We don't want zoning.
I will also say, I alluded to this earlier, that is, yes, a double-edged sword would be a good way, and I will tell you that as a county commissioner, if it was proposed to be put on the ballot, I will say this right here in front of everyone, so none of my words get twisted, that I am a no on planning and zoning.
Robert, I would just like to personally thank, and I think everyone in here probably wants to thank him as well, the interest of Chuck Lentz and Sam Alexander, who's both on the ballot for August 4th, to take enough interest to be here today.
Thank you.
With that being said, we have a lot of business to continue here. I appreciate each and every one of you, Larry and Rick and Tamara, who work diligently.
Can I say something before you leave? Hickory County is unique. We have 2 representatives in this county. We got Jim, we got Steve, all right? Make some noise.
Jim and Chris.
Jim and Chris, anyway, make some noise.
And there's probably a Steve too, so.
But contact them.
Yes.
All right? Because they're not going to listen to us, they'll listen to you.
Okay. Thank you, Rick.